Hey guys, all right, how's it going? All right, happy Thursday. It's 5:20 over here, so we're gonna hang out, drink a beer. Haven't had a beer in a while. We got a Sam Adams Summer Ale, so let's do it. I got a pretty interesting news story to read you guys. Um, it's a pretty crazy one. It's one I didn't expect to come out of my home city, so we'll check it out. And yeah, so this says it's a citrus wheat ale. So here goes nothing. Not bad. Doesn't really taste like much. So good. So should we just dig into it? Should we wait for some more people to come in? Let's see. It's been a crazy week for news, guys. Crazy. I don't know how much you guys keep up with it. All right. We got the handy dandy tablet here. And I got the story queued up. So this is from NOLA.com. Here we go. New Orleans federal judge orders Jehovah's Witness drugged for trial. Appeals court balks. Defendant accused of threatening judge cites religious beliefs for refusing medication. So this story is from the 11th and updated on the 12th. So this is pretty recent. You all ready for this? Excuse me. All right. Bryant Harris raised eyebrows at the federal courthouse in New Orleans when the FBI arrested him on a charge of threatening to assault U.S. District Judge Susie Morgan. Let's try that again. I've only had one drink. Bryant Harris raised eyebrows at a federal courthouse in New Orleans when the FBI arrested him on a charge of threatening to assault U.S. District Judge Susie Morgan. Now he's trying to avoid another judge's order that he be forcibly medicated for trial. Purporting to be an Army veteran and trained marksman, Harris called Morgan's chambers in 2020 to complain about the New Orleans Police Department, the subject of a long-standing reform order that Morgan oversees. Morgan, the judge, overseeing the NOPD reform order. There's a lot of names, so. He also asked how many security personnel were assigned to Morgan, explaining, "I need to know how many people I need to take out to get to the judge," an FBI agent wrote in a sworn affidavit to arrest him. A health evaluation found Harris delusional and incompetent for trial, yet he refused medication, triggering court's hearing. Harris, now 50, said his religious beliefs as a Jehovah's Witness require abstaining from psychiatric medicine. But Judge Nanette Brown concluded that the government's important interest in prosecuting Harris outweighed his First Amendment religious objection and ordered the medication. Let me read that one more time, just so you guys can get it. Judge Nanette Brown concluded that the government's important interest in prosecuting Harris outweighed his First Amendment religious objection and ordered the medication. On Friday, however, the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sent the case back to Brown, saying she must also consider the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993. The law requires a compelling government interest to overcome religious objections and was famously cited in the 2014 U.S. Supreme Court decision letting Hobby Lobby Stores Incorporated deny employee health insurance coverage for contraception because the company's owner cited religious beliefs that contraception is immoral. Brown was appointed by the court by President Barack Obama. The Fifth Circuit's ruling came in a unanimous decision by judges Jennifer Elrod of Houston, appointed by Bush, James Ho of Dallas, and Andrew Oldham of Austin, both appointed by Trump. Editor's note: a spokesman for the Jehovah's Witnesses of the United States of America said August 15th that the use of psychiatric medication for mental health ailments is a, quote, personal choice. So that's pretty crazy. The reason why I read that one short paragraph twice is because it's a perfect example of what the founding fathers created the Constitution to limit the government overreach, and this is a great example. So the First Amendment protects your right to religious freedom, and this judge is saying that pretty much the threat made by a clearly mentally unwell person, that the importance to prosecute this person trumps his right to practice his religion and not take psychiatric medication, according to him. So this judge is a tyrant, and this is exactly why the Bill of Rights exists, is to limit the government. It doesn't give the government, it doesn't say that the government is allowed to do certain things. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights actually is the limitations of what the government can do. So the purpose of the First Amendment right is to protect the citizens' religious freedom, in this case, from a tyrant judge or any sort of tyrant to force him to do something that's against his religious beliefs. So I personally know some Jehovah's Witnesses, or knew some growing up, and it's a pretty interesting religion. Like, they don't celebrate birthdays, they don't celebrate holidays. It's pretty interesting. I don't know about the medication thing, but I definitely can speculate that that is a thing. Although the spokesman here, according to this article, the Jehovah's Witness of the United States of America, said that it's a personal choice. So if Jehovah's Witness religion is like any other religion, this individual could be a member of not the most mainstream sect of the religion, and he could be part of a branch where they are strict about taking medications. Like, for instance, some of these Jehovah's Witnesses that I knew personally, like, they couldn't take blood transfusions, they didn't take vaccines. So I don't think that it would be beyond the realm to not take psychiatric medication. They would probably want to do something like in-house through their counseling or whatever they call it, like mediation and religious counselor. I don't know. I'm not a very religious person, so I couldn't really say. But this is interesting that this tyrant judge is so hurt that this guy threatened her friend, this unwell man. And I mean, would this man be a serious threat to this judge unless, like, somebody spilled the beans and told him how many, like it says here, how many guards that she has? Like, couldn't anybody just go, like, check up on the guy and be like, hey, did you, like, what's going on here? And they would see that it's clearly a mentally unwell person. Go send one of those, what do you call them? One of those fucking social workers that you guys are always fucking saying that, you know, should replace all the cops and everything. Send one of those guys out, you know? I don't see why this mentally unwell person is being stripped of his First Amendment right by a tyrant judge because he clearly made a threat that he does not know the consequences of. So there's that story. If we ever get an update on that, I'll let you know. But that kind of relates to that that story that came out of Utah when the former Vice President Joe Biden was there, and I guess this man had made, like, you know, he said something on Facebook. Anyway, that's besides the point. What ended up happening, this man was like a 74, 78-year-old man. He was obese, out of shape. What ended up happening is the FBI went to serve a warrant or something before the president came to town. And the details aren't out on this yet, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I would have heard. But what ended up happening is the FBI ended up killing this person. The 74 or 8-year-old obese man. They killed him for typing words on a forum, a public forum. Were they stupid? Yeah, but again, like, they could have checked up on the guy, you know. It's nuts. So there's someone else dying over some words. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy and pretty interesting how things are getting on, like, the national level too. Anyway, I don't really like to discuss politics too much. I mean, talk about the Constitution, but that's, you know, that's just an American thing. That's not really political. So anyway, again, not getting political with my one of my favorite founding fathers here, Sam Adams. All right, we got anything more? Oh, okay. Here's one for any of my local viewers out here in New Orleans. Or Orleans Parish. All right, NOPD plans sobriety checkpoint. The NOPD Traffic Division will conduct an upcoming sobriety checkpoint at an undisclosed location beginning Sunday, August 20th. The checkpoint will operate between the hours of 9 p.m. on Sunday and 5 a.m. on Monday, the 21st. I wonder if that's a Saints game. I should look that up. This part's funny. The number of DWI arrests by New Orleans police has fallen in recent years, with only 69 in 2022 compared to more than 600 5 years earlier. The reduction has been attributed to police shortages rather than an actual reduction in the number of New Orleanians who drive under the influence. Motorists will experience minimal delays and should have the proper documentation available if requested, including proof of insurance and driver's license. So that's funny that they say that. Let me read that one part again. The reduction has been attributed to the police shortage rather than the actual reduction in the number of New Orleanians who drive under the influence. So this is crazy because everybody drives fucking drunk around here. Fucking everybody. You just see them drinking and driving. It's crazy. Where I'm originally from, New Mexico, like, they're serious out there. They have like a report drunk driver hotline and shit. But here, whoo, no, dude, you could do whatever the fuck you want. Go fucking drink and drive around the city. Like, you guys, if you haven't watched the other video, Failing to Protect, you can pretty much do anything you want in the city. And you're good to go. Just try to be non-violent, you know what I mean? But, yeah, this is pretty crazy. I don't know. Let's see, we got anything else here? All right, so the police chief right now, the interim police chief, she thinks she has it in the bag, but like I was saying before, it's all nepotism. Yeah, that's about it. Let's see, there was something earlier. I don't have the story here, but the other day, downtown on the, like right on the border of downtown and the French Quarter, I guess you could call it, there were two people who were like, they just said stabbed. Two people were stabbed and one died. But what was not reported in the story, which I found out later, was that that they were both stabbed by somebody wielding a fucking sword. So imagine you're just like chilling after like a night of drinking, trying to stumble your way to Canal Street to get your Uber to go home or whatever, and next thing you know, somebody's fucking trying to run you through with a sword. Anyway, that French Quarter is crazy as hell. French Quarter is crazy as hell. Man. It's hard to talk. Let's see if I can find the story, because that was a pretty good one. Anyway, the mayor's husband had passed away, which I thought was interesting because we haven't really heard a lot about him, but we have heard a lot about the mayor and her affair with the like her head bodyguard, that the cop that's in charge of her security. So here, I got a good one for you. This happened this morning as I was waking up to get ready for work. So let me play this for you here.
The sound of rapid gunfire went on for nearly a full minute, captured on a doorbell camera on Fleur de Lis Drive, near where a double shooting played out around 4:30 this morning on Veterans Boulevard. Good afternoon, I'm Meg Gatto.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. People who live near veterans in Orleans Parish woke up to the sound of gunfire like we've heard.
Just outside their homes, multiple gunmen opened fire on an SUV with 4 people inside. Natasha Robin has the story.
For more than a minute, bullets flew at Fleur de Lis and Veterans Boulevard.
About 4 a.m., I got woken up by a bunch of multiple bangings. It sounded like somebody was banging on a wooden door.
People who live near veterans in the Lakewood neighborhood are shocked.
Tremendous commotion, loud popping sounds.
Police say just after 4 in the morning, this SUV stopped at the red light at Fleur de Lis and Vets. Another SUV pulled up, and they say several gunmen jumped out and began shooting.
It was loud. I mean, I've heard pistol shots, and these were not pistol shots. I mean, it sounded like a high-powered weapon. And there were, I don't know how many there were, but there were multiple shots.
Investigators say 4 people were inside the targeted vehicle. 2 men, a 39-year-old and a 36-year-old, were shot and took off running into the nearby neighborhood. Neighbors tell Fox 8 the 2 shooting victims began banging on doors to get help.
The front door was broken, there's blood on the window, on the steps. Apparently somebody went there, one of the victims, and banged on the door.
Actually, people walking that were shot victims. I mean, how distressful is that? I mean, to see another human being shot, in that much distress.
The other two people in the SUV were not hurt. One of them, police say, took off running when the bullets started flying. As police investigated, more than 67 evidence markers littered the scene. That's usually an indication of about how many bullet casings were found.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's like the Old West. Shoot up in downtown Laredo or something. It's unbelievable.
The shooting has people who live nearby on edge.
For this type of stuff to happen, it's outrageous. It's out of control. There has to be something that has to be done in this city.
I'm assuming these things will eventually hit a point where it's intolerable. People will move. Maybe they already are moving.
People who live in the Lakewood neighborhood are extremely upset. Meanwhile, the NOPD continues to investigate. If you know anything, they're asking you to call
Who's
Crime
investigating?
Stoppers. Natasha Robin, Fox 8, Local First.
So this actually happened right on the border of the parish line. So they had the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office out there, but they were just kind of stopping traffic on their side of the parish line. So anyway, that's pretty interesting. Now, I know a lot of these guys out here have some rifles. This one guy who they were interviewing said, what did he refer to them as? High-powered rifles. I think he was talking about ARs, but if you know anything about firearms, I wouldn't necessarily call the AR-15 a high-power firearm, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. So, anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. Remember to hit that thumbs up button. I had broken my GoPro recently, so I'm trying to get that camera replaced so I can keep making some quality content for everybody. And, I'm a poor just like everybody else, so I hate asking for money. But if you could, donate $1 to the camera fund, my Cashapp, it's in the description, and it's on my channel description, but it's $, and then DeepSouthEdc. So, consider donating $1 or 50 cents or, anything. Or if you can't donate anything at all, I know how it is. I'm also poor. Go ahead and just, hit that thumbs up button or share a video with a friend. Anyway, while we're drinking this Sam Adams, let's read about Sam Adams. Why don't we? All I really know about Sam Adams is from what I learned from playing Assassin's Creed number 3, which is my favorite Assassin's Creed game. 3 is good. I don't know. That's a subject for another channel, I think. All right, Sam U L Adams. I'm just kidding. For the love of beer. All right. He was born September 16th. He was an American statesman, founding father. He was a politician in Massachusetts. He was one of the architects of the principles of American republicanism that shaped the political culture of the United States. He was the second cousin of fellow founding father, President John Adams. Let's see. He graduated Harvard. He was unsuccessful as a businessman and tax collector before concentrating on politics. He was an influential official of the Massachusetts House of Representatives in the Boston town meeting in 1760. He became a part of the movement opposed to the British Parliament's efforts to tax the British American colonies without their consent. If you remember that phrase, no taxation, or it's actually taxation without representation. So what that really meant is, well, it's a history lesson. So a lot of people say no taxation without representation, which kind of works too. Like, you don't get to tax me if we don't get to be represented, which I guess is an easier way to kind of understand. Or maybe I'm completely wrong. His circulating letter called for colonial non-cooperation, prompted the occupation of Boston by British soldiers, eventually resulting in the Boston Massacre of 1770. Samuel Adams is responsible because he suggested in his flyer mass non-compliance to the taxes. It's kind of a funny thing. They got their flyers, we got our social media, and he encouraged mass non-compliance against the taxation. So I like it. I like it. Although that whole Boston Massacre, you know, I don't think, or rather, I think that was the powder keg that kicked it off. Anyway, Adams and his colleagues devised a committee of correspondence system in 1772 to help coordinate resistance to what he saw as the British government's attempt to violate the British Constitution at the expense of the colonies, which linked like-minded patriots throughout the 13 colonies. Continued resistance to British policy resulted in the 1773 Boston Tea Party and the coming of the American Revolution. Adams was actively involved with colonial newspapers, publishing accounts of colonial sentiment over British colonial rule, which were fundamental in uniting the colonies. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, huh? Parliament passed the Coercive Act in 1774, at which time Adams attended the Continental Congress in Philadelphia, which was convened to coordinate a colonial response. He helped guide Congress towards issuing the Continental Association in 1774 and the Declaration of Independence in 1776. He helped draft the Articles of Confederation and the Massachusetts Constitution. Adams returned to Massachusetts after the American Revolution, where he served in the state senate and was eventually elected governor. Adams later became a controversial figure in American history. Accounts written in the 19th century praised him as someone who had been steering his fellow colonists towards independence long before the outbreak of the Revolutionary War. Sounds true. This view was challenged by negative assessments of Adams in the first half of the 20th century, mostly by British historians, in which he was portrayed as a master of propaganda who provoked mob violence to achieve his goals. Maybe. However, according to biographer Mark Poles, a different account emerges upon the examination of Adams' many writings regarding the civil rights of the colonists. While the mob referred to were a highly reflective group of men inspired by Adams, who made his case with reason arguments and pamphlets and newspapers. without the use of emotional rhetoric. So there you go. One of my favorites. Here's to you, Sam Adams. Anyway, guys, it's almost Friday. It's almost the weekend. Summer's almost over. School's back in session. So remember to stay well regulated. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.